Today's show is all about my favorite food group, chocolate. Well, maybe chocolate isn't exactly a food group, but growing up in my house, it was. Because my dad, who we nicknamed Mr. Chocolate, was all about all things chocolate, and I'm pretty sure he ate it every single day. So in my world, it became a food group. So we're gonna start off today's show with one of my favorite chocolate desserts. It's the most simple chocolate dessert I think you could make, and it's a chocolate chip cookie icebox cake. And how I started it is I just started by softening some cream cheese in a bowl here. And to this, I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, a 1/4 cup of sweetener, a 1/4 cup of almond milk, or any type of milk that you like. And then I'm just gonna kind of give it a little bit of a head start stir here, because if you turn on your mixer right away, you'll be totally dusted, or your house will, with chocolate, which won't necessarily be a bad thing, but your hair might not thank you later. And that looks perfect. The only thing you want to make sure about is that it's really creamy and smooth, so there's no chunks or lumps left of the cocoa powder. So that looks perfect. And then I'm gonna add some whipped topping. Now I like to use True Whip. True Whip is just a brand of basically what we all know is frozen whipped topping that is a little bit better for you. It doesn't have as many of the chemicals and the additives. Usually you can find it in your groceries freezer, but any type of whipped topping or even homemade whipped cream that you whip yourself is perfect for this. Then very important is here you want to gently fold in the whipped cream. You don't want to beat that in because this has a lot of air, so it will lose all the air and totally flatten out on you. So we're gonna continue to fold it until it's all totally mixed in and combined. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you wanna start to see where the chocolate and the whipped cream are blended together. And so I have so many funny stories about my dad growing up and his love for chocolate. But one that really stands out in my mind is that there was a chocolate shop where you could get samples when you walked in. And so we would watch my dad from the outside walking in. He was like a little kid. Me and my whole family stood outside because we realized, oh my gosh, you get a whole chocolate bar when you walk in, not just a little tiny piece, but a whole bar. So we all just watched him as he walked in, like a kid entering a toy store. And when he walked in and got the chocolate bar, he came out and he started to think and devise ways, just obviously joking, where he could go in and have disguises so that he could keep going in for more and more chocolate. And so we were all cracking up. And to this day, we still talk about our chocolate disguises that we're gonna wear in order to get some free samples. So what an icebox cake is essentially, it's almost like a trifle. You don't have to bake anything. You literally just make layers of cookies and whipped mousse. So you could do any type of spin on this. I'm gonna do just chocolate chip cookies on the bottom, but you could do any kind of cookies you like. The only thing you want to think about when you're choosing your cookies, you could even do graham crackers, is just something that's crunchy and crispy, because this mousse topping is going to go on top, and as it sits, it's going to kind of soak into the cookies and soften them a little bit, which will be absolutely delicious. But if you start with a really soft cookie, then it'll just be a soggy mess. So you want something that's a little bit crispy. So you could do gluten-free cookies, you could do dairy-free, you could even make your own. And that looks great. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but just enough to line the bottom of an 8x8 pan. And then I'm gonna pour about half of this mousse into there. And this already looks so good. And I'm just gonna spread it out evenly over the cookie layer. And you can see how simple this is. I love to make icebox cakes for any type of occasion, but especially in the summertime because you don't have to turn your oven on. And the nice thing is you can make these ahead up to 2 days in advance. And I think that the longer that they sit in the fridge, the better. So you don't have to perfectly cover this with cookies. We have about 1 package of cookies here. So if you find you run short, because sometimes I do, then you can start to kind of crumble the cookies over the top too. And you could even do it like this from the beginning where you just kind of crumble them on top. You really can't tell where the layers of the cookies and the whipped cream kind of collide because it all just tastes like a delicious dessert when it comes together anyway. And that's what I love about trifles and icebox cakes is they're all just delicious coming together with layers of cake, cookies, whipped cream. You can't go wrong. Then I'm gonna top the rest off with the rest of our mousse layer. And you know, chocolate gets a really bad rap for being something that's unhealthy. And so a lot of times people think if they like chocolate and they want to eat healthy, that they suddenly have to cut it out altogether. But at Dashing Dish, I'm all about teaching people how to find healthy alternatives, because I strongly believe that if you are a chocolate fan, like my dad, you're never gonna say goodbye to chocolate forever. And of course, all things in moderation are good and okay when it comes to food. However, I figure why not be able to enjoy chocolate daily? Because my dad's going to anyway. So if we put a healthy spin on it, then you can enjoy your favorites. And so this is a really delicious chocolate dessert that took me no time at all to bring together. And so that's what I think of when I think of my dad, is whenever I cook for him or bake for the family, I think about what can I make that's chocolate for my dad? I always have to bring something chocolate with me. In fact, he always starts to investigate dessert before we even finish dinner. And he says, all right, what's chocolate for me? And it's cute because all of his grandkids call him Mr. Chocolate now as well. And so they all know when they see Grandpa, they get a little piece of chocolate whenever he's around. So I just topped it off with some chocolate chips, and this looks perfect. Now I'm just gonna set it in the fridge until a little bit later when Mr. Chocolate comes by to get a taste test.